eBay is not my competition. Other sellers and the customers is who I target. I spend more of my time that way and getting better products. With today's video, I got the normal things. We're going to go through what sold real quick. I got 7 cards sold, so it shouldn't take too long. And then for the special topic, we're going to talk about New York's Empire State Building postcards. And as you've seen on the thumbnail, there's a lot of them out there. We're going to go over the sell-through rate and the prices that I find on that and some history about the Empire State Building. Then I have a new thing I want to put out. It's called the algorithm zone. And you'll see that because for the last 2 years or more, every conversation with the seller, the word algorithm comes up. Now this isn't like Mythbusters where I want to bust the algorithm or bust a myth. I just want to understand it. The algorithm is there. There is something there. But anyone telling you they know what it is, they don't. eBay knows what it takes and what it tracks. It tracks millions of pieces of data from your listings and selling habits and stuff. So I don't think it's alive. It's not breathing. It's a computer with parameters. So we're going to talk a little bit about the algorithm in the algorithm zone after special topic. And one of the things was listing cycles. They say eBay likes activity. That's one of the things about a lot of people talk about is they like activity. I have a hard time understanding that because as a programmer, how are they coding that and how are they tracking that? So I'm going to put in their listing cycles and my spin on what activity means. And it's not, I wanted to take it away from eBay because I don't know if eBay is really tracking your activity. I think it's got a little bit to do with the product cycle, and we'll talk about that. And then I got some viewer comments that came in at the end of the, as usual, at the end of the video that will spur some conversation, maybe some ideas. And that's basically what these videos are, is give you an introduction to the special topic, the card that I do for today, so you can go out there and do some more digging if you want, or if you have those cards, give you a better idea what to do with them. And the viewer comments is just, how's everybody else doing it? It's just not me talking head up here. So let's go ahead and get into the what's sold. And I only sell on eBay now. I don't sell on HIP, Etsy, or anything like that. Starting in 2023, I just went 100% on eBay. And you know what? It works fine. I'm not chasing different sites, looking around, watching things. The administration of eBay, I know it. It's easier. It's just made it a lot easier this year. But the first cards I sold, these are the seashell postcards. Now this one here, you know, it's a big seashell. It's embossed. It's a divided back. And they had $4 on there at an antique booth. And then this one here is the same thing, souvenir from, and they would put a town or whatever. Same thing there, and they had $3 on this one. These are the seashell border cards, I call them. This is not really the border to a point, but you can put something in here. A lot of them you see will have the borders of seashells. Those go between $7 to $12, and some of them mean a little bit more, depends on the condition and the harder to find ones, or with the town name on them. So if you can find those, it'd be great. But these were the bigger seashells, and this one's got a little bit of tinseling, and that's glitter on there. And these have been in probably 6-7 months that I listed these. This person bought both of these for $10.16. Sold a boat card. Of course I did. This is the USS Wrangler. He bought 2 of these. These are the matted back, semi-gloss front, and this is an older ship there. Notice a big black thing there. It could be a gun blowing. You know, they're shooting a gun, or it just could be something on the photo that when they made this print. But he bought 2 of these on there for $9.30. Next one's a German zoo card. This is bears in a German zoo. If you look down here, I had in the title Bear Zoo German, so I think I looked it up, it was German. Just a international card, $4 to $6. Next one came in is a real photo postcard, and this sold for $37 plus shipping. This is the Devil's Tollgate. It's in the Ozarks, Missouri, and it was done by a certain studio. And there's like a toll gate, and you'll see different cards of this. And this is an actual thing, and it's got an EKC stamp box. But that's what that one is right there. You can see like the cards just make it through there. So it's like a toll gate, they call it. Someone named it. And it's a real photo postcard. $37. Plus it'll go probably that new Ground Advantage. And what I'll do with it is I'll put it in a new sleeve. I got these semi-rigid mailers. Put that inside a waterproof bag for there. And just so it doesn't slide around the little box, I got these little packets. These are like bubble wrap baggies. And I just put that in there, and I'm using those up. And after that, I'll probably just put a piece of bubble wrap or paper in there, just so it doesn't slide around the box. And then I'll put it in one of these boxes. These go 4 to 5 ounces with all that in there. So it's really the same as putting an envelope, but I don't have to worry about the conversation with the post office about, is it a flat or they have postage due. These have worked fine. I do add 50 cents to every first class or Ground Advantage order, 75 cents to every priority to pay for my shipping materials. Always done that, never had a problem, and I don't look to make money on shipping. I just make, it's an expense you need to manage. You do end up making a little bit with your discount you get from eBay, but it's not a money maker. I don't look at shipping as a money maker. I don't cut flaps, I don't do all the shipping games. It's Ground Advantage priority. That's what it is with me, or eBay standard envelope. Then the last one that came in right before the video. This is just a Chrome card of Camp Walmer in Hunt, Texas. Just a view card of horseback riding, $4 to $5. So 7 cards sold on eBay for a total dollars of $76.52. My average sale-to price, or average sale price, is $10.93. Not a bad day. So goals for the year, I want to bring my ASP up. It's at $10.93, $11, which is very good for the day. I want to do $70 or more a day. Basically $70 is my bottom. I can always go up. I did $76.52, so $77. I beat that, but I didn't sell 14 cards. I sold half of that, 7. So you're going to have days where you sell 3, and you're going to have days you sell 30, you sell 10. You just want to look at the average for the month is what I do. So I got a 7 here, but the other day I sold 28. So it kind of just washes it out. And I'm not making any major changes because I sold 7 cards today. But I did get the dollars in because of that real photo postcard. I only paid a nickel for that, probably. And I sold it for $37. I'll take those kind of days all the time. Not hard to pack, not hard to ship, and stuff like that. But that's what's sold, and it's the variety. If you look at that, real photos, view cards, shells, just all different things. So they're shopping. Now let's get into the special topic. Every video I do a special topic. I try to come up with a topic of a certain postcard that everybody sees. They're out there. Sometimes I get some weird ones that I've done in the past, but lately I've been trying to get the ones we see every day and that sell and put money in our pockets. And I've seen this one many times, Empire State Building. It's located in New York, and a lot of people know a lot about it, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of the Empire State Building here and some of the things with it and the history. So while I do that, I'm going to show you some postcards of Empire State Building. You might have some of these, or I know you've probably seen them if you've been doing postcards. But here we go. Empire State Building is an iconic skyscraper located in New York City. Its construction started in 1930, and it took a team of skilled workers around 1 year and 45 days to complete it. That's not bad. 1 year, 45 days to complete that skyscraper. It was considered a marvel of engineering and architecture. The building stands at a staggering height of 1,454 feet, or 443 meters. And it has 102 floors. Can you believe that? It used to be the tallest building in the world until the North Tower of the World Trade Center was built in 1970. Even though it is not the tallest anymore, it is still one of the most famous and recognizable buildings in the world. The Empire State Building has an interesting history. It was built during the Great Depression, a time when people were struggling. It provided jobs to more than 3,000 workers who worked day and night to bring the building to life. It was a symbol of hope and progress for the city and the country. Their construction was a challenge, but the workers showed incredible determination and teamwork. Today, the Empire State Building is not only a popular tourist attraction, but also a symbol of New York's resilience and ambition. It has been featured in numerous movies and books and continues to captivate people with breathtaking views from the observation decks on the 86th and 102nd floors. Now, there's a little piece here. As you know, I like Zeppelins, airboats, and stuff like that. Well, airships. The Empire State Building was originally designed with a mooring mast on its 102nd floor to accommodate airships, Zeppelins, reflecting the optimism and fascination with aviation during the early 20th century. However, the mooring mast was only used a handful of times due to the challenging weather conditions and safety concerns. The airship USS Akron attempted to dock at the Empire State Building in 1932 as a demonstration of the mooring mast's capabilities. However, due to high winds, the airship's tail struck the building, causing significant damage. This incident led to the decision to abandon the idea of using the Empire State Building as an airship docking station. Overall, the history of Empire State Building postcards reflects the changing artistic styles, technology advancements, and the enduring appeal of this architectural masterpiece. They serve as mementos for visitors and visual record of the building's iconic status in New York City. So that was a little history about the Empire State Building. The airship thing, you'll see some cards with just the Empire State Building, then you'll see some with a Zeppelin in there. Those seem to do better. Anything with an airship you usually do better, and you want to spell it out in your title, a Zeppelin, airship, or whatever word you want to use. But one thing about the Empire State Building also, King Kong. That's the building that King Kong climbed in the iconic movie in 1933. The Empire State Building played a significant role in the story of King Kong. In the 1933 movie, Kong is brought from Skull Island in New York City, where he escapes and goes on a rampage. He climbs the Empire State Building to escape his captors and ultimately meets his tragic fate atop the iconic skyscraper, holding the girl and stuff like that. The Empire State Building has embraced its association with King Kong and has occasionally incorporated the iconic ape in its own branding and promotions. For example, during the building's 75th anniversary celebration in 2006, a giant inflatable King Kong was placed on the observation deck to create a playful homage to the building's cinematic history. And there was another time that they tried to do an inflatable, and it kept getting holes, and it was so heavy, it was pulling siding off and stuff like that. There's a history about the King Kong inflatables on the Empire State Building, but that's another one that you want to look at. Do these things sell? I have this little chart here. I've talked about it in other videos. This is how I think of sell-through rate when I'm looking through boxes of cards. Low, I don't try to stay away from. 0 to 3, that's your QSL, Niagara Falls, Cypress Gardens, flowers, birthday cards, stuff like that. Just plain Jane cards. You can put them in there if you want, but they're going to sit. You might get somebody to sell one once in a while, but that's the 100-year flood thing that I don't want to manage my store on. The average cards is really where I focus. I look for the average cards, and the high and the very high come when I'm looking for the average cards. So anything 4 to 7%, I'm pretty well picking up because I'm going to list them. They're going to be in the cycle, as you hear in a second, and they're going to sell. Anything with 8 to 10% is a little higher, so they're going to sell a little bit faster going through the eBay system. This isn't price. This is how many are flowing, how many are sold, how many are listed in the eBay system. And very highs, like your Disney, your McDonald's, your Mermaids, different things like that are the ones that people tend to go after all the time, but they forget their bread and butter is average and high. So if you're looking for the average and high cards, you're going to find the very high ones are going to pop out. You're going to become more aware as you watch these videos and look at the sell-through rate sheet that I put on Ko-Fi. And here's the link to that. You can download it for free and get that in there. It says pay what you want. You can put 0 in there. You can get it for free. I'm going to do 2 versions a year. Probably I'll have another one in September, October, formatted about the same, and it gives you a good understanding by looking at it and puts it all in one document. It's just different views, different sorts of all the different things I talk about. If there's anything you want me to add to it, just send me an email and put SR, sell-through rate in the title, and I can stick that in there if it's worthy. But the sell-through rate I calculate is I go into eBay and I just typed in Postcard Empire State. It seemed to do better with that. Now there's some other things in there, minus this, minus that, just to try to clean it up. But this isn't landing people on the moon. This isn't NASA type scientific stuff. This is just to get you in the range. Where does this fall? It's going to fall somewhere in this range. Postcard Space Empire State is, there's 222 sold and there's 3,900 listed. Times that by 100 to give a percent, because humans like to look at a solid number. And I get a percent and I go up or down, depends on the rounding. Comes up with a 6%, and if you look at the chart, that's an average card. So those are what most Empire State Building cards in eBay are average, but you will have your outliers, your real photo postcards, your different views, maybe signed by somebody or something on the back. Those are the outliers, and you can do what you want with those. Then there's the lower ones, the damaged ones, or just some of them that might go down to the 4%, but most of them are at 6%. So it gives you like a ballpark. It kind of, when you're looking through a box, you can't run through your phone and comp every postcard. It'd just take forever. It's like scanning books. People used to have those scanners and they'd scan each book, and when it beeps, they'd pick that book out. Well, this kind of what this does, but you got to look at it yourself and understand. So if you're looking through a box of cards and you see 10 Empire State Buildings, I'd pick them up because they're average cards. I got a 6% chance that they're going to sell. Might sit a while, but I'm not going to pay a lot for them either. I'm going to pay the average price. But there's another building in New York, and it's called the Flatiron. Down on the community tab on the channel, if you go to the SM Postcard channel and go to community and scroll down, you're going to find a video link of a YouTube video. I believe it was a YouTube video of the history of the Flatiron building. It's that triangle building in Manhattan, I think it is, in New York, and there is a history about that building. But the Flatiron building is going 9%. There's 1,000 less than 85 sold, so 9% sell-through rate for the Flatiron building. The Empire State Building is only 6. Then I just put the word building in there. There's 260,000 postcards. 260,000 and 10,000 sold, a 4%. So there's other buildings out there that it's competing with, and that's 4%. And then I put high rise. Some people put that. There is a postcard, and I have a video on them. There's a certain type of postcard called skyscraper postcards. It was only done with New York buildings, and that's them right here. Go watch that video. If you ever see those are called skyscraper postcards. The sell-through rate on those are probably average a little bit above because they are a little elusive, but that company made those skyscraper postcards, and it says skyscraper postcard on the back of those postcards. It's kind of like a bookmark postcard almost. But high rise, one sold, 135 listed. I would not use the word high rise. And that's what this does. It helps you get better at some of your listings. 1% sell-through rate. So high rise probably is a keyword that goes many different ways, where if you put Flatiron building or Empire State building, you're going to get something. But a high rise doesn't seem like it's doing as well. So the sell-through rate is 6%. Then I found some higher priced ones, some outliers there, and they weren't as high as some of the other cards I've done in videos. But I did find a unique one here, and this one here is an Empire State vintage cardboard picture record postcard. So that's one of those things like you just get on the back of cereal cards, and I do have a video about flexi postcards. They used to put them on there and they'd send them to the communist countries that wouldn't allow Western music, and they would send a postcard, and it's actually lacquered on there, and it would play a few times before it got real bad, Western music and stuff. But they used it for other things as well, promotions and stuff. But this is one of those record postcards, a gimmick they did back in the days. It had a best offer on it for $57.50, probably took $50 for it, $365 shipping. That's not a bad card. That's one of those unique things. It's going to probably take a while to sell, but you're going to find that one buyer or whatever. That's the first time I've seen that card. Next one is a real photo postcard from 1934. 3 sailors. So you got military, you got the Empire State Building, you got real photo, and they put Manhattan in there to get that. $22.49, full price, $4.50 shipping. It's a neat little picture. They're in the corner on the observation deck of the Empire State Building. So they played that well. But only $22.50 for that. And then here's an aerial view shot of New York, 1940s real photo, $17.50. So the sailors got $22.50, and an aerial view of this one is $17.50 with best offer, probably got $15 for it, and free shipping. So they're not, I would say, $20, $15 to $20 for a real photo or a unique one. The record ones, which is an outlier, that's a different type of postcard. That's one of those novelty. I would put that also in the novelty world. Got 57, but that's kind of like an outlier. So looking at those, $15 to $20. Then you get into your normal average cards that we see all the time in lots. They made a lot of these. The first one is a high, sold high. Postcard Aeroplane, Empire State Building, night view. Night views, get that in your title. Night views seem to do better. And it has a Zeppelin, but it didn't raise the price up to a higher. It's still $12.74. I don't say that's a bad price for an Empire State card. And they got $13 for it. And then here's your King Kong one. I love New York. This is a neat novelty type card. Big King Kong on there. Stuff like that. That's a good price for that card. It's a chrome card. It's got King Kong. $12. Not bad. And then here's your iconic Empire State Building. That's a pretty good price for a linen card of the Empire State Building like that. $8. So they did well on these. All of these did well. And if you look at them, most of these they're going to be $7 to $12. You're not going to kill it with some of these. The real photos and stuff like that, you're going to get some more dollars, but you're not getting it. But there might be that one out there that's the perfect card that just goes for crazy money. I didn't see that. Your average cards are a little bit higher, but just be careful with them because there is a lot of Empire State, like Rockefeller Center, and there's just a lot of them. So if you want it to sell, I wouldn't price it all the way to the top. I'd find the medium price, get what you need out of it, and move them. Use these cards to move them. Now the King Kong one, I don't know if I would probably keep that one. But then you look at the lows. You're competing these cards with the people that are doing this. So you're not going to stop this. You just need to know it's out there. I wouldn't put it into my equations to what I'm going to sell it for because I can't sell cards for this and make money and worth my time. $1.35, $1.25, and $1.75. So a lot of views of New York. East Coast, there's a lot of postcards. New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Boston, New York. Just a lot out there. I think there's over 500,000 postcards of New York listed on eBay. So if you're going after that market, you just need to flood it and get some good cards. And there's just so many New York postcards out there. But that's the pricing with the Empire State Building. To sum up Empire State Buildings, I always pick them up because they're easy to list. They do sell after a while. As you'll see here in a minute, they do get into cycles. People will batch them up, buy 2 or 3 New York cards and throw that one in there. Just same with Statue of Liberty. Sometimes they move, but they will sit a little bit. But get the ones with the airships, stuff like that. They're not going to be world breakers on prices. Might be a few out there. Stay away from the lower ones. Anything with King Kong, I'm a sucker for. I would say Empire State Building cards are a plus. And Flatiron Building. Take a look at that. It's coming into its own. It's had some history, different tenants. I think it's the video. I'm not going to spoil it, but the video has a twist what's going on with that thing. I don't know if it's still in that state, but and how they made it and stuff. It was an interesting short video. But look in the community tab. I'll see if I can put a link to it in the video description if I find it. But that's Empire State Building. Who knew?
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of views and watchers, but of offers. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of an imagination, down servers, and make-believe. That signpost up ahead? It's your next stop. The Algorithm Zone.
So now we're in the algorithm zone. And the reason I call it the algorithm zone, the algorithm is alive. It's out there, but it's not alive. It's a computer. It takes parameters. It makes a decision. It loves to do math. It loves to count things up and if this, else that. It loves to do all that. That's what computers do. Counts, makes a decision on input that you put it in. For the past 2.5 years, every conversation I hear is, oh, the algorithm, eBay did this to me, eBay did this to me. So I wanted not to do this like Mythbusters, where I'm out there trying to bust a myth or an algorithm. It is out there and you need to understand it. Just know in your practices as a seller what to do, maybe to get a better search or something like that. But there's not one thing that's going to put you up there. There's a lot of things that will put you down, like not shipping, not a lot of defects. eBay gives you metrics that they rate you on. Your tracking, your defects, your return, all this other stuff that makes you a top-rated seller or above standard. As long as I'm above standard, I'm happy. I was above standard in the postcard selling for years because I shipped with a stamp and a label. eBay standard envelope was around. Everybody was basically above standard, and I sold postcards. Then when the eBay standard envelope came around, I made it to top-rated. Wow! I almost lost it a couple times, but they always gave me a grace period because I do ship out photos and stuff with a stamp and a label still that doesn't have tracking. So that it's 95% I think is the metric, the threshold, and I'm usually right 96, 95.5. I think this month I'm at 97 because I have a lot of ship photos, a lot of different things. And I'm not that worried about top-rated seller, top-rated plus. That's not going to change my lifestyle. That's not going to make that big of a change, so I don't sweat all that. It's there. I know I like having top rated, but I don't lose sleep over it. It's not gonna kill me. I'm not gonna go broke doing that because I did it for years above standards. You do not want to go to below standards, and they will warn you that you're going down. You can see it. Don't go there. It's not a good place to be. So I'm not trying to bust anything or saying this is the right way. I'm just trying to put a different spin. But the one I heard a lot about, even some of the big YouTubers and everybody says, eBay likes activity in your store. That one's been not bothering me, but I'm just in there. There's more to this. From a technical background, I tend to think, okay, how would I go about making that decision at a computer programming level? Mark logged in today. Mark read a message. Mark touched the screen. Does it keep track of all that stuff? Sure, it keeps track of your sign-in. It keeps track of things you do, but do they really use that to sell your stuff? So I questioned that one a little bit. So I went out and I came up with some things. It's called the product life cycle. I've been around business forever, and if you've been buying, selling stuff, or just going to a grocery store, you know of this. People make a career out of marketing. Professionals don't speak out of their area. I just know a little bit about a lot, and I do know about the product life cycle just from my years doing stuff. The product life cycle is right here. Development, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. That's the life cycle of a product. So let me put it in perspective. Let's say Microsoft's Windows 10. It was developed. It was in development. Then when it was ready to come out, they did an introduction. And then they had growth of the product in sales and dollars. That's what this means. And then it kind of matured. It kind of the peak went up, and then it kind of dies, and then it kind of trends out. It's getting average, trending, and then it starts declining. It's starting to get out of date. So they bring out Windows 11 that starts another product life cycle. People don't understand. They probably got Windows 21, Windows 30 already in the development stage. They already know where this is going to go a long time down the road. By the time it gets to the introduction phase, they already know when this is going to roll out. They have numbers. They have people, marketing people, that figure out each one of these stages and where it's going to land. And they can adjust it if they want, but everything's done on there. Just like eBay with the development of what they're doing with their applications. They know where they're going to be out there. Number one, they're a public company, so they have to continually grow and manage and show that they're a good company and solid, so they get investors. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. So there has to be a plan, and there's application development life cycles. Basically, you got to plan it out. You got to program. You got to test it. Then you put it in regression stage. There's all these different worlds that a lot of people, if they don't work in that world, understand. There's a lot that goes into developing stuff. You just can't put stuff out in a big company like that, because it's like a pebble in a pond. It creates a lot of waves, and you got to know what those waves are touching all the way around, and sometimes you do miss. But I took the product life cycle because really when I put up a postcard, development's done already. That's gone. Introductions, let's call that new. And then I jumped introduction and growth. I combined those in new. And then maturity I kept because once you list something, it's new, and then it kind of just sits out there. And then after a while, I left decline because it's been out there a long time. It just hasn't sold. So between, this is the, blue is the timeline, and that timeline could be as long as you want. I just can't put it all on the screen for years. But this is the 3 eggs, I call it, or circles. So new, maturity, and decline. Between new and maturity, everybody knows if you put a new product listing in your store, new item, it gets up in search, it says new, so we can touch that. We know that part of the algorithm or that part of search. When you put a new item up, it gets attention for a while. Not forever, but it's listed as new. So everybody wants a new, keep listing to get new items up in that cycle. Now between new and maturity, after it's been out there a while and it loses its newness, the shininess, you're having consistent sales between there. And then you get into maturity, and then you start sitting out there and you're looking at your store and saying, this stuff's been out there for a long time. So people start seeing a decline, and they're not selling the stuff that's been out there. So they start throwing sales on and stuff to just try to move stuff. Normal human reaction. Now with postcards, we tend to let them sit because they're collectibles. Collectibles don't really fall into a product category sometimes because people with disposable income will buy them. This isn't toothpaste, a shirt, socks, stuff like that. These are collectibles. So it's harder to deal with, but you need to put them categorize them a little bit, and that's what I'm doing here. So when you list something, it's new. It loses its shininess, it goes into maturity. And then after a while, sitting there forever on the shelf, it starts declining. Just like Windows 10. It was new, it's matured, now it's going declining, out of support. They're going to be bringing out Windows 11. That's already out. And they're working on Windows 12, probably up to 25. And then they're going to end support on 10 and gone. Our postcards will sit forever because they're collectibles. So how do if you got me so far, remember we're talking about the algorithm, but I'm taking this away from eBay because I'm not for sure how eBay knows that activity on your site gives you more sales. I think it's product life cycle. I think it's listing cycle is what I want to call it. So here, let's break it down visually. Here's 6 cycles, listing cycles. Let's call it, you can put this every week, every day, or whatever, but I'm going to do 6 days in a row. I listed. So I went and got 25 postcards each day. I listed, and if you notice, it kind of looks like a stair step. So I listed one, it's new. The next day I did one. So the cycle starts at a different thing. The timeline goes across. So I got 6 different cycles in 6 different stages. Now for the first week, if you put the circle on the timeline right here, and we're only going to look at the new. The other part is the maturity and decline. But if I put the circle of new right here, I got 4, I did 4 days, and in that circle, I got 4 new. My listing cycle is in the new stage, is where it's at. Then the timeline, and I keep listing, I'm doing it, I'm listing regularly, and the timeline moves, and if you notice, the circle moved with the timeline, I still have 4 things in a new. So if you're listing every day, you're starting a new cycle, and things are nice and shiny and are being shown in search. Now what if you only list every 2 days? You only get 3 cycles for the week. So you got a lot of space in between the time you listed. Less activity on there. You put the circle back up, you only got 1 listing cycle in the new. Then as the timeline moves, you got, again, only 1 new shiny item up there, and the other one is basically in the mature, is moving into mature cycle. And then if you continue, at the end there, you keep listing in this manner, you only have 1 new shiny item to put up that gets the attention in eBay, and 2 of them, one basically at maturity and the decline, and the other one basically maturity. So if you don't list every day, you don't restart the cycles. You have longer spaces between your stuff. Are you keeping up with me here a little bit? But if you take and you say, well, I want everything new then. I want to put everything new and shiny. And what is the big thing in the last 2 years? And then relist, and then sell similar or whatever. That thing. So everybody did this. They took all of their cycles now and they moved them up to the front. They ended everything and started. Everything is now cycle 1. All 6 of those cycles have now been bunched into one cycle. And this is what it looks like in the timeline. So basically, everything is new. Everything is in the same cycle as you go across the line. That's what end and sell similar does. It works. People have done it. They proved it. I'm not saying don't do it. I just don't want to spend the time doing it. I don't want to mess up my store doing stuff like that. Pros and cons to it. Now, every time with this timeline, I just put a line there because people do this regularly. If they have this part of their model, and what they do, they will sit there and do, every time it hits that line, they do an end and relist. Hit that line, end and relist. They keep making this stuff new. So they're just, every time they list, everything gets put into new. So they got one big cycle going through their store. Makes sense. They show activity. You know, and the activity is they're creating a new cycle. Now the problem is, once you start this and you took, say you got 1,000 items in your store, and you went and relisted, everything's one. If you got tired of doing that, and you hit that line and you go past that line, now everything is in the maturity and the decline stage. So you're going to see your new stuff up, and if you stop doing end and relist on that hamster wheel, you're going to start seeing this, because it's not new anymore. They're just going to be regular items on eBay. On there. I'm not saying don't do end and relist, but I'm saying if you're on that hamster wheel and you end and you say you got 1,000 items, you now have one listing cycle. Where me, I'm organic. I list every day. Every month I got like 25 to 30 cycles, and they're all in different stages. I never did the end and relist, so they're still going through the organic. So I don't have to worry about if I stop doing end and relist that it dies. But they do see advantages to that. Now let's go back to the top and look at what I was talking about. So what is the algorithm? No one can really tell you. It's just so much. It's bigger than people know. I don't really know if it's just one thing. There's a lot to it. It's hard to explain. I'm not a DBA, database administrator, or a data scientist, stuff like that. I know there's some people out in the viewer thing that have done this for years. Professionals don't speak our area. I'm a professional telecommunications and data transmissions, stuff like that, and different things. That's what I did. That's what my schooling is, electronics. But I do know enough here because we had to work with other people on database design and stuff like that. I wasn't the one that designed it. I was the one that helped put it together. And they kept me in the guideline. They said, no, you can't do that. Because we come up with some weird stuff. They said, yeah, that's too hard to code. And that's what I'm talking about, activity. How does eBay know you have activity in your store? And everybody says, you got to have activity to sell things. I don't think it's that. I think it's the cycle. You're putting everything new. You're constantly putting new stuff up. I don't think eBay says activity. I think it's being said wrong. I think it's just having new items. But what is an algorithm? Everybody says, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking Greek here. So I went out and got the definition of algorithm, and I kind of added to it for the eBay thing. So here's the definition, and I'll put it down here. An algorithm is a well-defined sequential computational technique. Flow chart. Just think of flow charts. Everybody's had a flow chart to follow. You buy something from some place like IKEA, maybe you got a flow chart. Put this piece in first and stuff like that. And if you put a piece wrong, you got to tear it all apart and do it again. So it's a computational technique that accepts a value, or a collection of values. Parameters. You're filling in the spaces. If it's a postcard, it's in the postcard category, do this. If it's a car, do this. If it's a bike, do this. It's making decisions on what category you put it in. Or item specifics. What you select. Linen. If stuff like that. They have they take your parameters and they bump it up, and they have tables probably or stuff like that, and they say linens are not the biggest sellers, but real photo postcards, we sell more of those, so put that over here. They can do stuff like that with it as input, and produces the output needed to solve a problem. I don't think it's a problem the way people search, it's the search query needed to solve a search query. So I took this and added those things in there. When I export and go to store on your seller hub, and over on the side it says social, I have an integration to Pinterest. I have almost 15,000 pins that I've put up over the years on Pinterest. I get like 12,500 views. And if they see a postcard they like, they can click on it and go to eBay to buy. A lot of people dismiss Pinterest because they don't understand it. I've been using it for years. I have 1,300 followers on there. Not a lot, but it's enough. I do get some sales from it. But every day when I list, I go through and I put up like 5 pins up there, and I just do it every day. It doesn't take long. But I noticed with the integration now with eBay, you can do it automatically and don't have to share stuff. I can click on it, and it brings over the metadata. Metadata are the things you put into your listing. It puts it in there like your item specifics and stuff. It brings over about 5 or 8 of those parameters. So eBay knows, and it's sending those. So if you're not doing the item specifics, maybe there's something there, because it's bringing those over. So when it's looking at your store, your listing, it's doing that. But I see that. And then a lot of things I see people, if you're writing, it gets into another thing about the algorithm that I'll probably do later on, but I wanted to touch on it. So if you're writing titles with just a bunch of mumbo jumbo stuff to fill up 80 characters, and it doesn't really tie to the main subject of the card, I think eBay is going to have a hard time getting that to the right person that's going to see it and have a higher chance of clicking that buy button. So if you have a picture of a car, and it's a 1966 Chevelle Buick, but you're going to get postcard 1966 Chevelle Buick to me. I'm not going to put the color of the card. I'm not going to put white walls. I'm not going to put tailpipe just to fill up my 80 characters, because you're going to get maybe someone in there with all that stuff in there that just isn't the right person to buy that. Sure, you're going to get more eyes on it, but you're getting a lot of views, but you're not getting a lot of click-through rate is down. So if you target your title right and just say postcard 1966 Chevelle Buick automobile, you can put those words in there. When people see it, they're going to click and they're going to buy. So your click-through to buy percentage is going to go up. I see a lot of people talking about click-through and views. Well, yeah, you're putting all this stuff in the titles. People that were looking for a tailpipe are seeing your postcard, but they're not buying it. So your percentage goes down. Do you think that's a parameter eBay can look at? Sure. So another example of that is YouTube. So if you start a postcard channel like I got, so you're coming in here, I'm basically postcard. This channel is postcards. Nothing else, basically. Pretty well postcards. Now what if I went out to a monster truck rally and took a video of me sitting there watching monster trucks? I put it up there. You get a notification since you're a subscriber. Mark's got a new video, and you go look at it, and it's monster trucks, and you're saying, what the heck is this? The next week I put up Johnny's piano recycle, little Johnny's piano recycle. Sorry to say, but nobody cares about little Johnny except people that know little Johnny. Your aunt, your sister, the grandma. I don't care about little Johnny. I don't know who he is. He's playing the piano. What? Why is I'm getting it? Unsubscribe. They go in, they see it, they click on it, play it, and they stop. YouTube sees that as like, people don't like this video. They're not going to show it to more people. They're going to show stuff that works. So YouTube also has what they call an algorithm on there. Just remember also, people are looking at your listings and buying. The bots are just looking at it. They're not buying. But they're getting it in front of the right person at the right time that's going to buy a postcard. So if you fill all that 80 characters up with all that other stuff in there, you're going to get probably more views, but your click to buy is going to be a lot lower. I hope that made sense, but I don't. Let's go back to the beginning. eBay likes activity in your store. I don't think it's anything eBay tracks. I just don't, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's anything they can track. I think it's the product cycle. The listing cycles. You're moving everything to new, and it's shiny, and it goes through the cycle. I don't see where they're tracking just activity is going to get you sales. It's you listing consistently and doing stuff like that. So I think it's being said wrong. If you list consistently, you're going to get sales, and that's what I hear. List. The more you list, the more you sell. I hear it all the time. I think that's what needs to be said. Not that eBay's watching that you logged in today and you're going to get sales. That's not what it is. I do not believe. If there's any other algorithm stuff out there that you guys have seen, I call them hacks sometimes. Maybe not the best word, because some of them probably do work. I don't do a lot of them. I don't spend a lot of time on trying to manipulate eBay. eBay is not my competition. Other sellers and the customers is who I target. I spend more of my time that way and getting better products than chasing down some absurd thing or calling eBay all the time whenever I get a little blip and it's affecting my sales. Things are going to happen, but I focus on stuff that makes me sales. That other stuff, I can't put my finger on. But I'm going to try to, in the future, come up with a few things and try to take it away from all of just the algorithm like this and say, I think there's more to it. It's just not the algorithm. Thanks for sticking with me.
You're traveling through another dimension. A dimension not only of views and watchers, but of offers. A journey into a wondrous land whose boundaries are that of an imagination, down servers, and make-believe. That signpost up ahead? It's your next stop. The Algorithm Zone.
Now we get into viewer comments. Got 3 comments, or 2 comments. Just a lot of stuff here. These came in through email. I'm getting a lot of email comments. The first one came in that says, when I see something wrong on eBay with the listing, should I report it? I might be an outlier to this, but I leave it up to the issue and the individual. So I leave it up to you, and I leave it up to the issue. So when you're reporting, as long as you don't become a bigger problem. Some people will go out there and just report everything. They get a sense of entitlement, and they just report everything. Just because I'm a seller now on eBay, I have a voice. I can report everything. I've reported some things in the past, and I go back and I still see the listing there, so it's a mute case for me. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to report all this stuff. Once in a while I might see something, but I'm not going to be the hall monitor of eBay. I'm not eBay police. They don't pay me to manage their site. Stuff like that. I'm not going to want to go out there and chase it because it doesn't go anywhere. I've never seen, basically, now if I get messages, crappy messages and threatening and stuff like that, sure, stuff like that, but it depends on the issue, and I leave it up to the person doing it. So if you want to report something, do it in a way that's constructive, follow up, but I wouldn't be a maniac about things. That's because a lot of the stuff you don't have a lot to do with. So, but if you feel you got to report it, I leave it up to you and the issue. Pick your battles, is what I tell people. Next one is, this one's about what I do here. I get this once in a while, and I have a little thing I send out. But they said, what camera do I use? Lights and editing software do you use for your videos? How long does it take you to do each video? So I thought I'd put a little change from postcards and other mumbo jumbo I did there. So the camera I use is just a GoPro Hero 9. Nothing special, has the media kit. I used a microphone on GoPro. I didn't do anything fancy, and it's worked out well for me. I don't have a lot of things to do with that. So GoPro 9, pick them up like $200 now, around there, $250, stuff like that. I do have the media kit. I do have a card in there, but I got a cable from this camera here to my computer. So I don't have to take the cards out to transfer files. Once this video is done, I'm going to stop it, and I'll transfer the cards right to my computer. And they're saved, and I'll delete them off the card in there. What software do I use? I use Filmora 12 to edit my software. It's very easy. In the reselling world, you don't need all the fancy stuff and get in there. I'm not an expert on editing, as you can see. I give it my best shot, and I've learned a lot, and Filmora makes it easy. The keystrokes and how to do things. Little learning curve, but it's probably one of the easier ones I found. And it does a lot of stuff that you need. So Filmora 12, made by if you go to wondershare.com, there is a licensing for that. What lights do I use? So I have a light here, and I'll put a picture up since I can't move the camera. It's called the key light. That's the main light that comes down here, and then I have another side light over here. But this one's a GVM Y30D160. It's an LED soft light, and you can control it on the settings, and I have the settings written on there so I don't forget. But it's kind of gives the light coming here. Over on this side, I have just a light that bounces off the wall here, and if I turn it off, you'll see the difference, and that does that. If I turn this one off, you'll see a difference on that side. I don't have one right in front of me because I really don't need it. And then I have a light at the top that kind of shoulder, and the lights in the back kind of takes the thing out. And then in the corner over there, I have puck lights along the fish tank for the red, and then the two lights you see on the table are just RGB battery lights, and I'll probably lose those in a little bit. They've been around for a while. They charge up, but they don't last as long on there. And then the blue lights and the lights in here are just under cabinet puck lights you get on eBay for $12, $15. And they all work off of remote controls, and they can do different colors and stuff. So that's the lighting that I use and stuff like that. Nothing major. I think the most expensive thing was the GoPro and the GVM light. That's about it. And the software gets up there. Then he said, how long does it take you to do each video? It depends. So I thought about this. So a lot of times I spend 3 to 4 hours, sometimes more, on researching. Cause I go down those rabbit holes. I'm learning just as much as you guys are when I do this. Cause I get more detail than I ever did on 3 to 4 hours researching or more. So the average about I'd say 4 hours, let's say. Then I put a script together. All of this is scripted out. I make sure it's going to fit into the time frame when I do things. So I would say just putting all the information together in a flow is about 2 to 3 hours. So let's say 3 hours. So that's 7 hours already. Recording this takes me about an hour. So that's 8 hours. And then to edit and make sure everything's right. I usually get it done on one take because I record for the edit. Means if there's any mistakes, I just keep recording and do it again. And then I cut that out. I'd say 2 to 3 hours. Let's say 3 hours. So that's 10 hours just on a minimum video. So I would say 10 to 12 hours from start to finish on a video. And then some of them do go a little bit longer. If I get into stuff like I did today and trying to figure out how I'm going to say that, or if I get into some really big numbers and stuff, it'd take longer. But I would say 10 to 12 hours is what it takes to do a video. And I do one a week. And I usually batch them up. Like today, I'm going to record this video, and then I'm going to record another little 2 ones, and I'll put them in my editing bucket. They're not being scheduled out real fast, so I got time to edit. But I usually will start edit. I just don't sit for 2 hours and edit. I'll stop at a certain point and go do something else and stuff like that. But YouTube is work. It's not as easy as people think. Now, some people can use their phone and just flip it up there. Lives, they just go up there. It just depends on you, and they're successful. I just do it a different way. So a lot of people won't spend 10 to 12 hours in a video. They'll spend an hour. Then there's some people who spend 40 hours on a video, or they might post once a month because they do animation. So it all depends on what you do. But I don't spend a lot on all this stuff because I don't have the space. But I was able to figure out watching other YouTubers, influencers, to get what I want. That's all I got for today. Think about that algorithm. If there's anything you want me to try to figure out, help me try to figure this algorithm out this year. And get away from, I guess I don't like seeing people spending so much time trying to manipulate that when they can do so much in their stores and get so much more items up. But every time I hear it, I hear algorithm. And it's just, but that's all I got for today. Here's some fish for you to watch. Bye.